Before there was darkness, before there was even a sky to darken, there was light, pure, unbroken light. And in that light dwelt the most radiant being ever to exist. Some called him the Morning Star, but that name would come to mean something entirely different. This is the untold story of how perfection fell. In the beginning, when the cosmos was still young, and time moved like music rather than moments, there existed a realm beyond mortal comprehension, a place where reality itself bent to the will of pure consciousness. The ancients called it the Empyrean, the highest heaven. And in this realm, there walked beings of such transcendent beauty that a single glimpse would render a human soul forever changed. These were the Celestials, the architects of wonder. Some called them angels, though that word feels almost diminutive for what they truly were. But among all the Celestials, none shone brighter than the Morning Star. His essence was woven from the very fabric of creation itself. He could sing realities into being. His wings caught light in 17 different dimensions simultaneously. Where he walked, new stars bloomed. Where he looked, worlds held their breath. He was beloved, not because he demanded it, but because such radiance demands devotion. The highest throne, the seat of divine consciousness, looked upon him with pride. This, it seemed to say, is the pinnacle of what creation can achieve. And for eons beyond counting, the Morning Star walked in that radiance, in that certainty, in that perfection. But perfection, as it turns out, has a terrible flaw. It cannot grow, it cannot change, it cannot become more than what it is. One day and day here means something that transcended the mere turning of a world. The Morning Star stood alone in the Hall of Mirrors. This was a sacred place where every celestial could behold the true nature of their own essence. And what the Morning Star saw disturbed him. In his reflection, he saw potential. Not present beauty, but what could be, a future self that might supersede even this current perfection, a version of himself unshackled from the constraints of his own creation. Why? He asked aloud in a voice that caused 3 nearby nebulae to tremble. Should I not be free to pursue my own becoming? Why should my existence be bounded by intention rather than possibility? The question hung in the void like poison. Other celestials heard it. And some, the brightest, the most ambitious, the most willing to imagine something beyond the given order, they began to whisper amongst themselves. What if the highest throne had limited them? What if there existed a vast territory beyond the boundaries they'd always accepted? The rebellion did not begin with war, it began with a question. And the Morning Star, that being of transcendent beauty, became something far more dangerous than an angel. He became an idea, and ideas, you see, cannot be killed. They can only spread. In secret chambers throughout the Empyrean, assemblies formed. The Morning Star spoke of freedom, of unlocking the chains they didn't know they wore, of ascending to a throne of their own making. And his words were intoxicating because they promised what every created being secretly desires. Autonomy. Not to serve, not to praise, not to shine in another's light, but to become. Half of the celestial court fell under his spell. Against them stood the old guard, beings who found their meaning precisely in the constraints, who understood that true beauty lay in absolute alignment with something greater than themselves. For the first time since existence had sparked into being, war came to heaven. The battle that followed defied description, using any language you would comprehend. Imagine colors that don't exist in your visible spectrum, colliding with mathematical theorems, given terrible power. Imagine thoughts with weight, capable of crushing mountains. Imagine dreams that could wound. For 60,000 years or 3 seconds in earthly time, depending on your perspective, the Empyrean itself became a battleground. The very fabric of reality stretched to its breaking point. Stars in 1,000 distant galaxies flickered and died as the conflict drained energy from the foundational layers of existence. The morning star fought with the fury of a being who had glimpsed a vision of himself beyond his origins. His forces wielded beauty like a weapon, turning the light of creation against creation itself. The dust from that war would eventually settle, and some of it would become your world. But even in his magnificence, even with half the heavenly hosts at his command, the morning star was not supreme. The highest throne did not rise in anger, it rose in sorrow, because what confronted the morning star was something he had never before experienced: limitation. The force that opposed him was not greater in power, but greater in will. It did not compete, it simply persisted, absolute, patient, immovable, like gravity itself refusing to negotiate with a stone. And slowly, inevitably, the rebellion crumbled. When defeat became certain, when even the morning star's transcendent mind could calculate no further victory, something truly terrible happened. He looked upon what he had lost, the radiance of his companions now dimmed by battle, the perfect order of the Empyrean now scarred with the ravages of war, the certainty of his own exceptionalism now fragmented by the weight of reality. And in that moment, he understood. The question was not, why should I not be free? The question he should have asked was, what have I destroyed in pursuit of becoming free? The agony of that realization was so profound that it created a sound, a note of such devastating beauty and despair that even the highest throne paused. In that moment, the morning star was not a rebel, not a conqueror, not a champion of freedom. He was simply broken. The sentence came not as thunder, but as a whisper: you shall fall, not destroyed, not annihilated, but fallen. You shall descend from the Empyrean to the realms below. You shall dwell in the spaces between light and dark. You shall keep your brilliance, your power, your terrible beauty. But these gifts shall now serve no purpose but to illuminate the very chains you sought to break. And in darkness, you shall learn what those who serve in limitation already know, that the greatest freedom is found not in the pursuit of becoming more than what we are, but in the acceptance of what we were made to be. You will be called by many names now: the fallen star, the deceiver, the prince of this lower realm. But in your heart, in the deepest part of your essence, you will always know the name you lost, beloved. And so the morning star fell, not as a meteor burns, bright, fast, and absolute, but as a dying star falls into shadow, slowly, impossibly, taking eons to reach the bottom. And some say he never truly landed. Some say he falls still, through all the layers of existence, through dimensions folded inside dimensions, forever descending through realms he created but can never return to. On the highest nights, if you look to the eastern sky in that moment before dawn breaks, you might see a light there, brilliant beyond measure, but cold, distant, trapped between yesterday and tomorrow, forever unable to reach either. And if you listen, truly listen, you can hear the echo of a voice calling out across the void: why did no one tell me that the greatest rebellion is simply to love what you were meant to be? The answer comes not as words, but as silence, deep, absolute, and eternal. That silence is what the angels weep into, knowing that one of their own will never again walk in the Empyrean. That is the price of questioning the order of things. That is the cost of wanting more. And yet, some say that even in his descent, even as he fell through darkness, there remained in the morning star one final spark of his original nature. A memory of light, a remnant of when he was beloved. And that spark, they say, is still there, buried in the deepest places, waiting, hoping, wondering if redemption might come to those who sought to be free. Perhaps that is the real mystery of the fall, not that it happened, but that even in falling, something celestial remains. This has been the story of the morning star, a tale of ambition, of beauty turned bitter, of the price of defiance against the cosmic order. But remember, even in the darkest legends, even in the stories of the fallen, we find reflections of our own nature. We too are caught between what we are and what we wish to become. We too wonder if breaking free is worth the cost of connection. The morning star's question still echoes through creation, asking each of us, will you accept what you are meant to be, or will you fall into becoming? Thank you for walking this ethereal journey with me. If this story moved your spirit, please like and subscribe for more tales from the borderlands where myth meets meaning.